Hello, everyone, dear Patent Effect Podcast fellows. Now we are at IP Camp event again. So I have very distinguished guest from Bardehle from Germany. Hello, Philippe. Welcome.
Hello, Mustafa. Nice to be here.
Thank you very much for accepting to record these episodes with you. I think you are happy with being in IP Camp in Cheshme. How do you feel now?
Absolutely. It's a wonderful event, wonderful organization, and great people here to meet.
Thank you so much. Philip, maybe we can start to, maybe you can introduce yourself first, and then you can introduce Bardehle as a company, and you can mention about your expertise, and then I can ask some questions for you.
Sure. Well, my name is Philipe Kutschke. I'm partner with Badele Pagenberg, a law firm with headquarters in Munich. We also have other offices all over Europe, in France, in Spain, in Italy. And I'm focusing in my daily practice on non-technical IP, which means I'm working a lot on trademarks, on designs. And maybe the only relation to the technical field is that I'm also working on trade secret cases. So Badele Pagenberg is a law firm which was founded now already 42 years ago. We're one of the largest IP-focused law firms all over Europe. We have attorneys at law working closely together with patent attorneys, which is very helpful, not only for the clients, but also for our daily work. So when I have a technical question, it's easy to just get to the next door and ask my colleagues about that technical question.
So it's 42 years ago this is founded.
That's right.
Very old. How many people are you in Bardehle?
In Munich, we're around about 160, 170 people with about 50 to 60 professionals.
It's quite big, right?
It is.
So as Sabancı University, we were also working with Bardehle in some cases as patent drafting and the country validation, so on. So I know very closely the real expertise of Bardehle. Also, I was also one of the trainers 3 years ago in EPO conference with Tillman, one of the partners in Bardehle, right?
That's
Tillman.
right, yeah.
So maybe we can start to talk about startups. I know your expertise, you are working with startups in terms of trademark, design and business trade secrets cases. How do you see that the startups are willing to use their IP in defensive or offensive? Could you please give some insights about startups?
I really love working with startups because these people are full of energy and it's really thriving how they work on their idea and on their invention. And I see it as my task also to sometimes maybe even stop them a little bit when they're just proceeding with publication of their developments, because it's really very important to have a very good strategy at place right from the beginning. So it starts when they're thinking about cooperations with other companies, when they're looking for investors, not to publish all of the information they will need later, for example, for patent filings. So the second important issue in the beginning is also not only to have a strategy regarding your cooperation partners, but also to figure out which are the right protective rights to have in place for this invention. So obviously, most of the people at first place, they think about patents. But in many cases, it's not only about the technique, it's also about the appearance of the product. And there you have your designs. And as a third very important IP right is obviously the trademark. And in that regard, we're facing sometimes problems because the approach of these companies sometimes is to have a rather generic term, or then they already have the idea about their name but never thought about other companies that are also using similar names. And that's sometimes also difficult to explain because trademark law is not that you would only infringe if you have an identical trademark, but also if you have a similar trademark. And that sometimes needs some explanation why that is.
In Turkey, when we follow the news, lots of the time, all the news companies are confusing about trademarks and patents. Always misinformation, wrong information disseminated through the Twitter, social media. So always we are trying to correct this information Also, as LAS Turkey, we publish a document to describe the differences between the trademark and patents and other IP issues for media companies. That's why in Turkey it is a bit, the lower level in comparison with the European countries.
I think it's not a typical Turkish problem.
Really?
We're facing that all the time in Germany. And in fact, when I give my lectures at the Technical University of Munich, that's my opening statement, that I hope that at the end of this 3-day course, they can differentiate between a patent, a trademark, and a design. Because absolutely right what you're saying. In media, they really do not care about it. It's not only about differentiating between the different IP rights, it's also reading a decision correct and understanding the meaning of a decision. So if you have a court decision, then you read about it in the news. It happens a lot of times that you would read something that is not in line with the wording of the court decision, in fact.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of trademarks, Turkey has a good position in terms of the trademark applications in Europe. But if we talk about the patents, we are not good at on that technical issues. As a trademark strategy or design strategy, what do you suggest for the Turkish startups who are willing to operate in different countries? Maybe they can start applying for Turkish trademark protection in this territory, but after that, maybe they can decide to operate in different countries in a basic level. What can we suggest to these startup companies?
It's really knowing your options. If you take a look at Europe, we have European-wide protection for trademarks, we have European-wide protection for designs. So different from the patents where you have only national rights, you really have one registration with one right that can be enforced all over Europe. So as the case may be, you could have a court case pending in Germany, and that decision would have an effect all over Europe. And as regards the costs, these European-wide rights are really very effective. So it's a lot cheaper to have this European-wide right instead of having, for example, 3 national trademarks. In particular, when it comes to design, it totally makes sense not to go for the national design rights, but rather go for the European-wide rights. It's not very expensive, and you have a lot of options how you can protect the appearance of the product, but also how you can protect specific features of the appearance of the product.
I see. Well, basically, where is the official point to apply a trademark and design applications in Europe?
For the trademarks, you should apply for it rather soon. We have a grace period of use of 5 years, so if you intend to go on the market in 1 or 2 years, you could definitely already now go for the trademark application. Again, when they start making business, those startups, and start talking to other people, maybe these other people would like the name, even if not maybe the company. So it totally makes sense to have that protection in place before you address your potential partners. As regards design, we have a 1-year grace period of novelty, which means that you could even first check your product and see if it will be accepted on the market, and then go for the design protection. Nevertheless, my recommendation would be to rather file your designs early. You do not have to fear that everybody will already see the appearance of the product. If you want to keep it secret, you have the option to file a request for deferred publication. So you can defer publication of your designs for up to 30 months, which means that until that day, it's up to you whether you want to publish or not.
I see. Maybe we can also talk about the universities, because I'm working in the university side in the technology transfer office. Basically, in Turkish universities, in comparison with the patent application, design and trademarks are lower level. So because we don't sell any products, so we don't have any product names or something. Mostly we are applying a trademark application for specific projects. Designs can be an important topics for the universities who have industrial design departments. So how is the situation in Europe in terms of design litigation cases coming from the universities to corporates, or from corporates to universities? Is there any interesting cases?
I have to admit, so far I'm not aware of very interesting cases regarding designs, because the situation there is very similar to here. They rather go for the technical IP protection, so they go for the patents, and of course they also have some names of these inventions, so there will be a trademark. But designs are still, from the university side, from my perspective, not taken as seriously into account as they should.
It is quite similar in Turkey and Europe. Okay. So, in terms of the corporates, in which fields the design litigation cases are occurred in Europe? In which sectors? Do you have any insights in your mind?
Today it's really all over the place, so you cannot really say it's only about fashion. You're recognizing that even chemical companies are getting more on design. So
chemical companies on design.
Exactly. So they have a certain invention, and at first place, obviously, it's a chemical thing, so rather for the patents. But then usually they already have some appliances they want to use this technical invention on, and there they go for the designs. Still a lot of work to do on that side, but it's really not that it's one specific area of products. For example, if you look into the medical sector, like medical appliances, designs can be very helpful, because, for example, if you think of trade shows, when you go on a trade show, usually the people offering these potentially infringing products, they will not be interested in demonstrating it to you and explaining how it works, so that you could then go for a patent infringement case. That's a lot easier with a design. You can simply take a picture, then the judge only has to compare the picture, and that's exactly the reason why we are so effective and so successful on trade shows. So we have one client, we work with him every year on the Medica, for example, and if we go there, we see a lot of products that are infringing, and it would be burdensome to file a PI request for patent infringement. It's a lot easier for designs. So just to give you an example, last year we attained 12 preliminary injunctions all overnight, and we enforced all of them on the very same day. That's a lot of preparation work, obviously, but still, I do not believe that this would have been possible if all these 12 PIs would have been based on patent infringement.
I see. So you are also participating lots of the LAS international events, right?
That's correct,
you are closely involved in this network.
Right.
So besides your expertises, maybe we can talk about the power of LAS network. As you know, this IP Camp event is also organized by participation, the trainers from the network of LAS International in different countries. So you are also coming from Germany side. So what do you think about, or what do you suggest to Turkish IP professionals to be part of LAS network in Turkey or in international?
I think LES is really an organization that is different from other IP organizations. Today we have so many of them, and of course you think, well, that's just another organization. But to me, the LES is very different from the others in terms of people who attend these events. So I think we have a very strong focus also on industry, not only lawyers and patent attorneys on these conferences. And my personal impression is also that on these conferences, people are more open to talk about certain issues. It's not that typical small talk that you will have on many, many conferences. It's really talking about the subjects. And then also LES gives a lot of opportunities to the national chapters, and also to address young people to get involved really early into IP matters, into this completely, from my perspective, different world of IP.
Exactly. Also, there's a young member congress for the IP professionals under 40 years old. It's another advantage for the especially newcomers and IP professionals under 40 years old.
Exactly.
There's a separate congress event organized by LAS every year in different countries, including Asia Pacific countries.
That's right. So the age, you should be under 40 or young at heart.
Do you also involved in different network ecosystems besides LAS?
Yes, I'm also active in the AIPPI, so I'm a member of the design committee there.
Last week you were in London?
Exactly. Last week I've been in London. I'm active in Union IP, and you really have to focus on certain organizations. And so for LES, for example, right now I'm working on a design study covering 12 jurisdictions, and just to compare, to give insights on design protection in various jurisdictions, and to give a quick overview. And I hope that it will publish early next year, and we will then have a panel in Berlin 2020.
In Berlin in May 2020, we will be in Berlin in the next annual conference of LAS International. So, Philippe, that's a great conversation with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And now we can go to Sivim. The weather is still very good, without windy. It's our lucky that nowadays it's normally it should be a windy weather, but it is very smooth.
Wonderful weather, and I'm really impressed that still all the people made it to the sessions. Thank you very much for this interview.
Philippe. Thank you so much for your contribution to our podcast. I believe that also the startups, universities, and corporates will benefit from your insights that you express in this episode.
Thank you very much.
So much. Let me close the episode now. Dear Patent Effect Podcast Fellows, so we are broadcasting from Çeşme, İzmir with Philippe from Bardehli, and you can comment, you can send your thoughts, you can send your questions from our Twitter and LinkedIn accounts. Please follow us on Twitter, and also you can listen this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, and also from our website. So see you on next episode. Bye bye.